But we should bring on.
Yes.
Who's going to do the intro this time? Anybody?
Well, oh yes, I got it. I got you. I got you. I got you.
Keep forgetting
Here's
where to
the
point.
intro.
Here we
Here
go.
it
This
goes.
is.
I am extremely nervous about what I'll be doing later today, and that is to take a stand-up comedy class. I just feel like at my age, I want to try something different, something new. And I feel like taking a class like this will help me to step out of my comfort zone. And hopefully, it will inspire me to be more creative in other areas of my life as well. The plan is to have 8 weeks, and then at the end of the 8 weeks, everyone that took the class is going to stand up in front of an audience for about 6 minutes to tell our jokes.
Antonio, let's get you up.
Where?
Stage.
Again?
Again?
Yeah, a lot of police come to my house and training on waterboarding. This world, and we know from our planets in this universe. No, we never seen a contestant from another galaxy.
I can tell you that none of that is said. None of that is said.
Honestly, I have no idea what to expect. Who knows? I might fail miserably. But I'm okay with that. Because my goal here is to push myself to take a risk and see where it leads me.
With us now, Antonio Scarpita.
Hey, Antonio.
Welcome. How you doing, man?
Thanks for having me here. I enjoy the show, but you go from beer to ghost to ashes. Amazing.
We try to be versatile. Hey, how's it going, man? Good to see you.
Stacy, Dana, hi.
So, hey, man, I always like seeing your guitars in the background. You know, mine are a little different. But, yeah. I always like that when we see you at open mics, man.
Stephen told me that you guys have a past, helping each other out with the music and stuff like that.
Yeah, I did produce one Enthrallar album, and then, yeah, I have an album that just came out this last year, but it's very hard to promote right now when you can't play live. So, Stacy, we can't hear you.
Music stuff.
So, we got some questions for you.
Oh yeah. So it's on Amazon Prime right now. The 8 weeks to 6 minutes. And it just came out. What inspired you to make this documentary?
Yes, actually, it just came out. It's been out there for a week, and it's been great response from people. The inspiration is it's a self-discovery. It's a journey of self-discovery, and really taking a big risk. Really, something about facing your fears that takes you to a place that you probably never imagined would happen. And that's what inspired me. I just wanted to meet the person who was going to come out at the other end of the 8 weeks and see what it was like to be him. Because no matter what, when you face something so difficult as what I did, and you're always going to change somehow, whether it's successfully or not. But somehow you're going to come out at the other end of the journey being a different person. So it's mostly about telling the story about that.
Yeah. What was some of the hardest challenges you dealt with when filming it and having to do stand-up pretty much at the same time?
Well, no, actually, I think the hardest part about completing this project was time, because it was a labor of love. We weren't paid, we didn't have a budget. It was my idea, and I just recruited a couple of friends who had some really nice cameras, and I gave them my story, and I said, this is what I want to do, because this is something that was not in my radar ever in my life. Doing stand-up comedy was not something that was even real to me because of the scary part of the whole thing. So when it came out to the idea of doing something that I never done before, I proposed the idea to David Connolly, who was my first instructor in the documentary. And he loved the idea. He presented it to the board of the school, and they loved it. So that's how I put my team together. And it's okay, for the next 8 weeks, we're just going to take a couple of cameras, maybe sometimes 3-4 cameras inside the stage of the class where we're having this, and record everything. And then after 8 weeks of footage, that's a lot of footage. I mean, that's a lot of stuff to go through. And then I am an editor, and it came to me to assemble the whole thing together. And I work full time. I work doing motion graphics, special effects, all that stuff. And it's only my free time or in the weekends. Sometimes I work weekends, so it just becomes a really difficult thing to do when you just don't have a deadline or a budget or anything like that. So that's how I think that was the hardest part to do, which is really with the timing.
Staying focused on it, trying to get it done, trying to put it together.
Yeah, and it just happened 2 years ago, or exactly when I loaded up 2 years to go to the whole process. I didn't edit it because when I assembled the project, there was so much that I put it together in a set. It was very rough. I get to a point that it was a wall that I couldn't go through because I was too close to the material and see myself. It's not always that easy to see myself in doing this stuff. So I had to hire a colleague of mine, Marco Rodriguez, who's a great editor, and he's the one who did the first rough cut and the final cut, and then I did the adjustments at the end.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, somebody actually left.
How long did it take you to make this movie with Amazon?
Well, the Amazon project was kind of a fast. Actually, it was a lot faster dealing with them than it was with Netflix. Netflix is very, very difficult people. I mean, the requirements, the technical requirements, you have to start with them from the beginning before you start your project. Otherwise, there's no way you can figure out what is it that they want. So I edited an hour and 45 minutes documentary from my comedy teacher, and they dealt with Amazon. So in that process, it helped me figure out how to get into them and then how to upload and get the technical things. And it was great because it was already done. I mean, they didn't have to deal with budgets or anything like that. And I just got to the technical stuff and the requirements. And it took me a couple of tries because of the slow connection that I was trying first. I mean, these are huge files, and they want the highest resolution you can get. And we're talking about really huge files. I mean, 1 hour can take you a couple, 3 days or something like that.
Wow.
And I went with a thing, so I went and did something with a very fast connection, and it took about maybe 6-7 hours.
Wow. Yeah, I remember hearing
Did you have like a really expensive budget when you decided to make this, or how?
Zero budget. I'm an editor, so I know how to finish a movie. I mean, the hardest part was to get the footage in. And since we did it all as one team, once I got the footage, the rest was up to me. I didn't have to hire anybody else. So I did the footage, I did the color correction, the look. I did hire somebody to do the audio because that's one thing I didn't want to venture in, and I wanted to have a good audio. So he's the only one that I hire outside me because, like I say, as an editor, I'm used to finishing films. I know what it takes to take the footage, edit it, and make it happen and get to the theaters. So there wasn't a problem for me. I know it's huge for somebody who's never done it, for somebody who's not an editor. But for me, it was the easy part because that's what I do for a living.
Oh yeah, I saw documentaries on different.
So what you're basically saying is, making the movie was the easy part. It was the whole distribution thing that was your biggest challenge.
Well, the distribution thing hasn't been there yet. I mean, we got lucky with the Amazon. Yes, it was a great achievement to get to that point. Now I'm starting to talk to people about distribution. Yeah, that's another beast. But I think the biggest challenge was to really find the time and focus because it's hard to do something by segments, because you lose focus. You have to come back, review what you've done before, review the footage. It's very hard to do a film that way. I think that was the biggest challenge for me.
I wanted
Wow.
to say something
Wow.
really quick, Stacy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I was just saying that I watched a documentary on film editing and stuff, and yeah, if you don't have a good editor or you don't know somebody who knows how to edit, that I mean, you may not even have a movie.
Yeah, completely.
Right.
I
You
see
know?
films really go to trash in editing, and I see films really go to the top on editing too. So it does take a really good editor to get these things.
Oh yeah.
And you know,
Um,
the good thing about this is that it was my journey, you know. So I didn't know what was going to happen. I took at the beginning of the 8 weeks. I just said, let me go. And then many times in the film, I'm just about to quit because it's so hard. And but you know, the story, the beautiful part about this documentary is not that you're going to get an award for cinematography or anything like that. It's that the message is out there. I mean, if you see the reviews, people are just getting the message. They're just saying, "Man, this is a great piece of storytelling because of this, and that." They're not saying, "What a shitty project. I can't even see the good lighting in there." It's not about that. It wasn't never about that. Because when you have 2-3 cameras and limited resources, you have to tell the story better than anything else. So I'm glad that that's what's getting out there.
I mean, if you're doing a documentary, it's not always going to have the lighting in the place where you need to film. You're going to be at the place where the
You're
documentary goes.
incredible.
So, Antonio, but I do have this question because it's such a great story and such a great premise. Did you have kind of a mapped out idea of the story itself, meaning that you got the 8 weeks of footage from, the 8-week journey, but before you sat down to edit, did you have kind of a map that you wanted to follow, or did you kind of look at all of that footage and then say, what can I then create from this footage? Which came first?
That's a very good question. You know, I had zero idea. When my journey started at the beginning, you know, I just wanted to say, okay, record everything that's happening here. That's how we're going to get to it. You know, at the end of that, when I got all the footage, you know, my first step is to assemble the whole thing in a way that it can make sense to tell the story. You know? And that's when you start finding the gems, you know, you start finding the golden nuggets and this and that, something that you never thought you were going to use, but it was hidden here somewhere in a camera shot and stuff like that, a reaction, something like that. You start discovering these things, and then somehow the story is telling you how to finish it. And that's amazing to me because it's something I hear since I've been taking comedy. It's like, you don't find the jokes find you. And it's the same about anything. The story finds you when you're in it. And that's what I'm getting back to the challenges about doing this in 2 years, is when you get off the focus, you have to find it again to come back. And that is the hardest part to do when you're editing, is trying to find the story again. Because when you're doing it day by day, you're on it with it. And it's taking you somewhere. So you finish it.
I hear that about documentaries, though, that because they do, that takes a little longer to finish them. You have all this footage. Even if you had kind of what made you enthusiastic, I've heard repeatedly from documentarians that you then have to, because it takes time, you have to then find it again. And like you said, there's these gems that that wasn't a shot you went after, but thank goodness in the expanse of getting everything you got, that this thing. And it's like you said, we have to be vessels. And that's, I'm in a comedy group, and that's what, like, whenever someone says, I don't know if any of the comedians have ever noticed this, sometimes the things that you say as an accidental tag, like you have this prepared joke or this prepared story, then you hit this tag on your way out that you didn't plan for. And that's what actually gets the laugh even more than kind of what you were planning in the first place. And that's, so it's that we have to be vessels. Very powerful stuff, Antonio.
Yeah, very true. And it's great. It's one of the things that I appreciate about this journey to me is how much of that I encountered, not just in the film, but it's in my own life. How to pay more attention, because when you go through something like this, it's terrifying. Somehow fears has a different meaning for you. it's more of about curiosity than anything else. It's not paralyzing anymore. So it's something that I love about this because it's a new thing for me.
Oh yeah. We had real quick. We had a person that put a comment. I want to definitely put it
Well,
on
he
there.
did. He did mention before that he was doing film editing and special effects before.
Okay.
So, yep. Just
Well, that was-
someone that missed it a little bit.
Mhm. Well, before you go on, then, but what were you like? So you were doing motion. I also saw motion graphics as well, and visual effects. What projects were you working on? Because you're doing that full time, so you're at least creative full time. But what were you working on? As you know, what were your full time projects as you went on to this project?
That you're allowed to talk about.
We do a lot of docu-series for streaming and stuff like that. I mean, especially when it comes to building cars, car builders and stuff like that. We do the Baja races. I don't know if you know about that. The off-road races, the Baja 1000, and we do 1 hour shows for NBC, and they're only specific for the Baja races. You know, so they come there. There's a series of 5 shows that go through the whole year, and that when those shows come, it's about a month and a half to 2 months of pretty much working every day, even weekends. So that's the kind of stuff. And plus, I do, like I said, I do some writing. I've written, directed, and produced about several short films about stuff that I like to write about. So that keeps me busy too. And I love, the guitar is one of the things that just takes me away from things and just is like a pacifier to me. Yeah.
Oh, I can relate to that, buddy.
Yeah. So I try to find time for these things, because they're important to me. And now comedy is something that I never had in my plans ever in my life. It's something that I really, really want to enjoy because of the writing. I've always been a storyteller, and I never saw myself being in front of a stage telling people that I don't know stories. But I always told stories. That's why I became an editor, because that's the power editors have at the end of the film to tell the story the way it should be told.
Oh yeah, you're shaping it, man.
I know. It's part of it.
Taking out the certain parts where it might be too much.
Well, there was I don't remember which director it was, but I know it was one of the 3 I might name. But I know it was it Quentin Tarantino, Scorsese, and there was another director, and he was saying, I shoot a lot of stuff, and some of it is a lot, and I forget what he said, something along the lines. He feels bad for his editor because he knows that even if he watches the dailies or watches what they shot, it's not a movie until his editor starts touching the movie.
Wow.
So
I think it was Tarantino. He had, I think his editor when she died, he went into a full even before she died, he was
that could ruin your career, dude.
That's
not a joke.
That's tough. Like I didn't know that. I do know what I know is that Scorsese has had the same director his whole career. There's a woman that is his editor. That is his editor, and she's been his editor the whole his whole career. One person.
Yeah, and you know what the reasons why these people stick together to each other, because it's a bond that is so important, because it's hard to deal with different people like that. You don't want to have an editor who can do a film. You know the person who's going to come in and help you do this thing.
It's your baby, dude.
Do you think that Quentin Tarantino ever had this conversation where he goes, "But why do we have to edit out all the feet shots I took?"
I don't know. But oh, sorry.
He loved his editor. Like if you go into YouTube and you go and see the Inglourious Bastard shots, like he would make sure that every actor would give his editor a shout out before the scene or after. And sometimes he just randomly throw it in there and make it like that's love. I think in order for you to have a perfect vision, like for you to have exactly what you want, you need to be you need to be completely in sync with your editor.
Yes.
They're the ones that are molding what you're planning. You're you're all visually imagining this, but the person that's actually molding your project into what you want it to be is your editor.
Editor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on that note, really quick, I just want to say something. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but a lot of people don't know this actually. It's a fun fact. The last Fantastic Four movie that was really, really bad that came out from Fox, believe it or not, that the guy who filmed it, who's also an editor, they didn't let him have Final Cut. They didn't let him show his edit of the movie. They actually gave it to, I believe the guy was somebody who worked with him that did trailers, and they let him have carte blanche over the final cut of that movie. That's why that movie is just awful.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he just cut it like a trailer and just added "in a world" over and over again.
Yeah, probably, but that's the fact that the studio doesn't trust you enough to edit your own movie if you've already proven that you can, and they liked him because he did the film Chronicle. And that was like an indie flick about those kids that run into the UFO or something.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, it was a great movie.
That sounds like somebody got mad at the director. That's what that honestly sounds like. That totally sounds like somebody in production got mad at the director and wanted to get back at him, because you should not be willing to risk losing money on a project by not letting a qualified.
And they knew that what he was about and what he made, because if they,
weren't they fired from doing the Star Wars movie? If I remember correctly, it was the same director that got fired from the Star Wars movie. They fired like 2 people.
Oh, those guys were they did Lego Movie, I believe. Yeah, I believe those are the people from Lego Movie, if I'm not mistaken.
If it was personal, it was probably just a complaint like, this guy had only cereal at craft services every morning. Screw this guy.
Yeah, because the 2 guys from, I'm pretty damn sure it was the Lego Movie guys. They were supposed to do, what was it, Han Solo, and then they got booted by, was it Kathleen Kennedy, and then Ron Howard took over.
Well, no, I think Han Solo had like 2 directors. Those are
they're the pair that did the Lego Movie.
Yeah, but I mean, like I think I think the Fantastic Four guy got fired first. I think I remember he was tied to a project and he ended up getting fired. That's why I'll stick to that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna Google that one.
Oh no, yeah. I think it's a different guy though. I think so. I'm pretty sure.
Quick question for Antonio though. So Antonio, like, what's you've got? So are you looking to stay and do more documentaries, like, or like, are you working on a comedy special? Like, what's next in your filmmaking toolbox?
Yes, I'm always writing. I love documentaries, so I'm always trying to come up with an idea or something like that. I'm writing a script about me growing up. I'm originally from Venezuela, so growing up in South America and the crazy stuff that I used to do out there. And yes, to answer that question, I like to get to a point that I can do a special. It doesn't have to be Netflix. It doesn't have to be a big thing. I just want to write enough material to feel like a 45 minutes, and I want to get my closest friends and people who want to come in and listen to it. Whatever happens after that. But I think it's an amazing challenge. I worked on Bobby Oliver's. He's an amazing comedian. An hour and 45 minutes, and she's been doing this for over 25 years, and I loved it. I loved being in the amount of material, the original material that she has is incredible. So I like to get to that point, but I just have only 2 years doing this. So I have a long ways to go. Yeah.
Such a great tribe working with Dow and working with Bobby and the team. Great teacher and just a great, building such a great community. I started doing open mics there to really, really, and then they have progressed to shows, and there's such a great community there. And,
I directed a couple of comedy specials. So if you're ever interested in doing a special, let me know. I kind of have an idea how it's done.
Thumbs up. Don't be surprised. Don't forget you said it when we emailed you. When I send you the email, I'm gonna email you when I reach out. I'm like Dana who? What are you talking about? Therapy of the person? I don't know what you're talking about. I was never on that. I don't know what you're talking about.
Where the talent is it, I love to do it, man. I mean, this is what I like doing, directing and editing and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely.
And Antonio, you were actually at my very first open mic. I don't know if you knew that at the time. So
I didn't know it was your first open mic, but I knew you were checking it out. You know.
yeah, it was great. Yeah. No, I think you were at one before that, before the class actually. I believe
Oh, okay.
you were there. Yeah. So, but yes, I've seen you a few times, so it's always good to see you at those things.
Likewise, man. I enjoy seeing everybody else's material, how different we all are, you know, because that's what makes us unique, you know.
Oh yeah, definitely. I did have a question also. What does your family think about you doing stand-up comedy and your friends?
My family, you know, for many years they think I'm crazy because I'm the, kind of the only one who's gone in that direction, who's never been well. I mean, my family, they always wanted academics, and my father is Italian, so he was very strict and all that stuff. But once I started pursuing the love the passions that I have, and I started deviating from all the stuff that they wanted us to do. So I started doing my own thing, and they love it. They love it that I'm here doing the stuff that I love doing, and that I'm making people laugh and stuff like that. So there's no beef or anything like that. But they always think I'm a little nuts because I'm doing something different. You know?
I think in order to be a really good stand-up comedian, you have to be a little crazy. I mean, come on, look at these three crazy ones. I'm the only sane one out of all of them. Like, come on.
There you go. Yeah, I agree with that.
Oh yeah. Let's see. The next one would be, I guess who would, like, comedy-wise, who would you say are your major influences, or people that you really enjoy or you really like?
You know, I love the old guys, you know, Richard Pryor, you know, Robin Williams, Carlin. I love their comedy. And the new people coming up, there's a guy called from New Jersey, half Italian, half American. I can't remember his name, but he's very, very funny because his physical comedy, you know. And I relate to him being half Italian, you know, of all the stuff that he tells a story. And that's the kind of the style that I like to get into more, storytelling instead of just jokes. You know, so it's more storytelling about that. His name is, it's an Italian, half Italian from New Jersey.
Let's see if we can find out for you.
All of New Jersey? Just full of Italians?
Yeah,
An
yeah.
Italian from New Jersey? What are you talking about? How many Italians could there be in New Jersey?
Mastalzano, Mastalcaso, or something.
I'm looking
Oh,
for-
Sebastian M. Yeah, I don't know. Sebastian Mazzale. I don't know. He talks like this. Hey.
Maniscalco. Is that how you say it?
There, that might. Hey, you did it best, I think.
Yeah.
We're
Maniscalco.
gonna
That's what it
go with
looks
what
like.
you said, Dana. I butchered
Yeah.
the name.
Maniscalco. Like,
Forget about it.
Italian is probably as a language I've never tried to study, but that's what it looks like. You know, based on everything else.
Yeah.
Sebastian, like you said.
Sebastian.
Oh yeah, he's
Maniscalco.
great. He's great, especially the talking about the family and at the dinner table. He has a couple of good things about when they either go to restaurants or they're just eating with the family and how he's just dealing with it. It's those are great.
Yeah, no, and I have the same. I grew up in a kind of environment, you know, and the kind of stuff. Well, I have a set about, you know, my grandfather naming the grandkids religiously and all this stuff, and it's kind of that's the kind of stuff I want to start talking about.
Would
Ah.
you?
Antonio, to piss off your family, what's the best way to piss them off? Do you like go to Olive Garden and take a picture? Is that how you piss off your family?
I use ragu in the pasta.
Oh, there you go.
Ah, nice.
This
Oh,
stuff's from New York City. I know that's salsa, but it works.